So we're right where we left off in the last lesson, and right now let's have a look at how to install Cryptomatte. So Cryptomatte is a shader for Arnold and for Nuke that is developed by the guys at Psyop. I think their names are Andy Jones and Jonah Friedman. So really clever guys developed this system where you don't have to render out different masks anymore if you want selections in compositing. So it all works automatically. Let's keep it simple. So how do we install this? I will only be covering the Arnold side because right now on this machine I don't actually have Nuke installed, but either way it's super simple to set up in Nuke as well. So over here, go to this web address. I don't actually have internet on this machine, so I can't actually show you, but go to this web address and then download whatever distribution you need, whether it's Linux, OS X or Windows. And then as we did before, once you downloaded it, change some environment variables. So once again, the Arnold plugin path, the Maya custom template path, and the M2A templates path. These are the three we want to change. And over here, you can see that this is the Cryptomatte release, and this is the AL Shaders transition version release. And it's just, once again, get a bin folder in there. Over here, the AXML folder, just like we did before. Exactly the same process. So when you restart Maya after this, you will be able to, in your AOV section, have the Cryptomatte AOVs. So let's all get these in there. Cryptomatte allows selections based on assets, materials, and objects. I personally use the object or material one most, and the asset almost never actually. So, but these are super helpful. So there's one more step we need to do, and that is set up an AOV shader. This was recently introduced to not have to code Cryptomatte into every surface shader that we use. So this is on a global Arnold level now, which is very good. Over here, let's add an AOV shader. Let's look for Cryptomatte. And there we go. We have the AOV shader over here. Now when we render this, we will be able to see the crypto asset, which will all be the same. You have to, develop assets for that. You can do the selection based on the materials or on the objects. Super useful stuff. Okay, let's quickly go over the final render settings I would use for a project like this. In the comment tab, I would probably use half precision and tiled. Tiled allows Arnold to be more efficient memory-wise because it can store the image as the buckets are finished. So it doesn't actually need to take the whole image with all the AOVs in your memory. Then half precision is, as opposed to full precision, this will store a 16-bit TIFF instead of a 32-bit, EXR. This allows for a much smaller file size while still having quite a lot of the dynamic range, enough for us. Perfect. So all of these are pretty default. Then for the sampling, because we are not doing any camera effects, so for example, motion blur or depth of field, we don't actually need that many anti-aliasing samples. So I'd probably push this to 4. Because remember, the higher we push this would be very high if you needed to render motion blur, for example. Then all of these would go up as well. So I would probably keep this as low as I can to get away with, and then increase the other samples to remove the noise levels. But a good starting point would be to increase this to maybe, for a final render, 4, 4, 3, 3, and 4, for example. Usually I would go a little bit higher and then render a small region. Is there any noise? No. Render it again. Is there still any noise? And see it like that. And the clamping, I don't do any clamping right now. And we have 1.8 filters, slightly sharper than the 2.0. Then the ray depth. For a project like this, since it's a final frame, I push this all to 10 bands for each ray type. This will achieve the most realistic results. But when I do animations and the render time is just more important, I will step this up and see where I start to lose values. So, and then I chuck it at the cutoff point. Now, let's say I would go, okay, 10 versus 9 versus 8 versus 7 versus 6, and then between 5 and 6 is the first difference I can see. Leave it at 6. That's all I mean. Right now, let's just leave it at 10. And this is at 20 because, you know, there's 40 total ray depths that we could use, but we're gonna cap it at 20 to not go too high. We're not using any of these settings. It's all default. And the system tab, once again, is not so important right now. It's more for the interactive stuff and bucket scanning. We have set up the AOVs. I am over here selecting the driver and merging the AOVs to have one single EXR file, but multi-channel. And then in the diagnostics, I will put this to warnings and info, because I want to see what's going on whilst I'm rendering, and I can see all of that right here in the output window. Perfect. So that concludes the Cryptomatte setup and the render settings.